Here's the time Peter cosplayed as Homer Simpson.
Peter, you don't look so good.
What are you talking about? I feel great.
And here's Homer cloning himself as Peter.
Let's all go out for some frosty chocolate milkshakes.
The animated sitcom giants have been going at it for the better part of 3 decades, and the truth is, Family Guy has borrowed an awful lot from the show that paved the way for it. But just how many times has Family Guy copied The Simpsons over the years? Well, that's where I come in, because I'll be taking you through some of the most obvious and surprising bits of copycattery in the show's history. But let's just say you're going to want to stick around because Family Guy isn't the only one doing the copying. That's getting ahead of ourselves, though. For now, let's talk about these families' houses. Since both shows satirize the typical American family, it's pretty fair that they're gonna have the same sort of homes. 742 Evergreen Terrace is your typical detached suburban home, and the exact same thing can be said for 31 Spooner Street. But it's more so how the family revolves as a whole around their houses. Like, for example, a lot of shenanigans the Simpsons get up to is in the living room, sitting on the sofa while watching TV. Here's Homer teaching the kids about how he made Maggie.
Did you have to be so graphic?
And here's the Griffins pausing a family argument to catch some must-see TV.
Chris, I saw the body. Premeditated murder is one thing, but I will not have lying in this house.
Wait, hold it. Can we finish this after Joan of Arcadia?
Oh, is Joan of Arcadia on?
That's a good, enjoyable program.
The breakfast table is also a pretty well-used location in both shows. Like, here's the time Homer barges in during breakfast to ask Marge for some help.
Marge, there's a spider near my car keys.
You did the right thing by telling me.
And here's Peter at the breakfast table obsessing over his favorite song.
Heard what?
Brian, don't!
Oh, well, bad.
You get the idea. While a set of characters living in the house isn't exactly copying, and making another sitcom that satires American families, especially when it comes to the dynamic, just like The Simpsons did, is kind of copying. Speaking of the dynamic, I think it's only right if we take a look at how both families act with each other because there are some surprising similarities. Now, the most glaring example of the dynamics is obviously within Peter himself, especially when the show first got going. He was pretty much a direct Homer Simpson's clone. He's a bumbling idiot who means well, but ultimately is a little selfish. Like, here's Peter promising Lois something he clearly wasn't gonna stick to.
Promise me, Peter.
Lois, honey, I promise, not a drop of alcohol is gonna touch these lips tonight.
Hey, who wants to play Drink the Beer?
Right here.
You win!
And we know just how many times Homer has promised Marge he wouldn't do stuff, but did anyway. Probably the biggest example of that is the time he dumped Ploppers' silo in Lake Springfield and caused an environmental catastrophe, even though Marge warned him not to.
Homer, it was you. You single-handedly killed this town.
I know, it's weird.
This is where most people would just, do the right thing. To be fair, most people wouldn't adopt a pig and call him Harry Plopper, but this is Homer Simpson, so.
He's not Spider Pig anymore, he's Harry Plopper.
It's pretty common knowledge that Peter and Homer are seriously big drinkers. Homer usually spends his time down at Moe's Tavern.
I want to try something special.
Sure. Here you go. Doof. From Sweden.
While Peter's preferred watering hole is at the Drunken Clam.
Here's to Joe, who helped little Paul get a new liver.
I guess they do say that alcohol is a depressant. Then you got Marge and Lois being two loving wives that are clearly out of their husband's league, but stay with them for... Well, I guess they're nice sometimes, but mostly they just cause them stress. Like the time Homer spent $20,000 on a snowplow without asking Marge and plunging them into near bankruptcy.
I can't believe you bought that plow. We can't afford it.
If you're gonna get mad at me every time I do something stupid, then I guess I'll just have to stop doing stupid things.
Well, things aren't any less free on Spooner Street. Like, what about the time Peter missed his and Lois's date night to build an entire bar for his buddies in his basement? And to make it even worse, he gives Lois the job of running around cleaning up after him.
Hey, honey, you know those little clam cakes you always make whenever we have company? I need about a dozen of those. Actually, better make it like 600.
The fact these guys have held down a marriage for so long is crazy. So, that's the dynamic between mom and dad covered. Let's take a look at the kids. Both families do share the exact same number of kids. The Simpsons has 3. And so do the Griffins. Bart and Lisa are really nothing like Meg and Chris. I guess you could maybe say that Stewie is like a combination of Bart and Lisa, but that's kind of stretching it. But there is another Simpsons kid who shares something with Stewie, and that's Maggie, because they both have an itchy trigger finger. Maggie's incident might have been an accident, but still she fired the shot that hit Mr. Burns.
He said, drop it.
Stewie's a little more marksman-like when he takes out Diane when she threatens to kill Lois. And in case you needed to see proof of who the gunman was,
If anybody's gonna take that down, it's gonna be me.
we can chalk that up to a coincidence, but it doesn't end there. We know that Maggie's a little more brutal than she lets on. Like, does this really scream innocent?
Take out the baby.
Well, she's also gone one step further.
But you have to do exactly as I...
Poor Willie. Canon or not, Maggie does do some pretty extreme things in the Treehouse of Horror specials. Stewie's no stranger to taking things a little too far either. Just ask Brian.
Where's my money, man? Where's the money?
So both sets of families have a kid who's not really understood by many people and possesses intelligence and strength way beyond their years. I think it's pretty hard to deny that Family Guy has copied The Simpsons on this one too, or at least, taken the foundation they set and ran with it. Even when it comes to the wider cast of characters, Family Guy seems to be a more edgy reflection of what we saw on The Simpsons, like in the case of Carter and Mr. Burns. Or to give him his full name, Charles Montgomery Burns, Springfield's shadiest billionaire businessman. He tries to cut corners where he can, especially when a board of inspectors are in.
If I didn't know better, I'd think you were trying to bribe me.
Is there some confusion about this? Take it, you poor schmo.
A $20K in the pocket of an inspector is better than spending millions on the upkeep of your nuclear power plant, I guess. Carter, on the other hand, is just as shady, although I'd say his business practices do feel a little meaner.
I want our beer cans made from the cheapest material possible.
But, sir...
What about those metal toilets where prisoners make wine? Use those.
So not only is he a crook, Carter is a stingy crook. Being a cheapskate is something Mr. Burns knows about all too well.
Look, Smithers, crackleberries. Spot me a Federal, will you?
Sir, I've spotted you over $100,000 this year. Perhaps you could carry your own money?
Can you believe this guy? He's got more money than sense and still has poor Smithers fork out for him. Carter takes this level of tight watery to the next level, though, because when he's asked for cash to go toward Joe's medical bills, he'd rather do this.
In about an hour, I'm gonna piss away 20 grand.
They also use their money to hoard things others need. With Mr. Burns, it's electricity.
You want some of my electricity, do you?
And with Carter, well, it's the cure to cancer.
Carter, you've discovered the holy grail of modern medicine. Why the hell would you keep it buried like this?
Because there's far more money to be made in treating a disease than in curing it.
You guys remember that in Mr. Burns' office, he keeps all sorts of booby traps? Like trap doors?
Guy?
You're fired.
But I didn't say.
You will.
Well, Carter's got one of them too. He keeps it right by the front door so he can send annoying strangers to their doom, like this lawyer.
Griffin. Well, Mr. Greenberg, I'd like to see you try to seize my assets after battling the Rancor.
Okay, that's a little more high-tech than Mr. Burns, but even away from their day-to-day lives, Mr. Burns and Carter take up the same roles. Both shows have parodied Star Wars throughout their history, and both have Mr. Burns and Carter taking up the role of Emperor Palpatine. Here's Burns' rendition.
And now, you must die.
And here's Carter's more on-the-nose version.
Hey, it's me. Can I come in?
Oh,
I think the difference between them, not that there's much, is that Mr. Burns is like cartoon evil. He's almost like a supervillain, where Carter is just a rich scumbag. A lot of these similarities can be chalked up to general writing tropes. Like I said before, if you're writing about a typical American family, some things are gonna overlap. But one thing that was pretty exclusive to The Simpsons back in the day is just how much it poked fun at Fox. Like the time Homer was investing in what he thought was News Corp, turned out to be Fox, though.
I invested in something called News Corp.
Dad, that's Fox!
Undo!
Or how about the couch gag where the family ripped the Fox logo off the screen and stomp on it like they're putting out a fire? The most brutal example, in my opinion, of The Simpsons hitting Fox where it hurts is the time they literally showed one of their censors being murdered.
So sit back and enjoy a night of worry-free... What the fudge? Oh, for Pete's sake!
The writers over on The Simpsons have been ribbing on Fox since 1993. 6 whole years before Family Guy came on air. When Family Guy did get going, they were pretty tame with their Fox jabs, like this one from the episode Lethal Weapons.
And shame on the network that puts this junk on the air.
Peter, maybe you shouldn't say anything bad about the network.
Oh, why? What are they gonna do? Cut our budget?
You gotta remember though, this is before the show got canceled, and as soon as they were back on air, it was no more Mr. Nice Guy. In their very first episode back, Peter kicks it off by shaming Fox with how many shows have been canceled at the time Family Guy was off the air.
We've just got to accept the fact that Fox has to make room for terrific shows like Dark Angel, Titus, Undeclared.
He goes on to name 29 different shows. I'm not sure if Fox liked it or not, but seeing as it's still in the episode, I assume they thought it was fair game. Things got a little more aggressive from there on out, and Fox is often used not as a joke, but as something to criticize by the characters. Brian Griffin, you're up to bat.
Possibly be considering working for Fox News.
Well, why not?
Why not? Because they're evil, and they distort the truth, and they do the bidding of the Republican Party. I mean, what other reasons do you need?
Both shows know how to go after a target, even if they do it in subtle and not so subtle ways. When you're already under fire for taking many leaves out of other shows' books like Family Guy is, copying The Simpsons' jabs to the network is pretty hard to defend. Like, sure, loads of shows have made fun of Fox, but something does feel a little purposeful with Family Guy. Let's get back onto the character train now, as I want to talk about two doctors, one from Springfield, one from Quahog. Don't worry, Dr. Hibbert, you're safe. The doctor I want to talk about today is the famously bad doctor, Nick Rivera.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dr. Nick.
If you don't know about Dr. Nick, he's essentially a really cheap alternative to Dr. Hibbert, mainly because Hibbert has a real degree, and Nick... We'll take a look at this.
I will perform any operation for $129.95.
Would any self-respecting doctor really perform brain surgery for less than $150? In the episode his advert is from, Homer is suffering from heart problems and needs a little triple bypass. And Nick's the guy who's gonna put him under the knife, but he doesn't exactly have an idea on what to do.
I know I'm supposed to cut something, but what? And where?
With Lisa's help, Nick manages to perform the operation without a hitch, and Homer lives to fight another day, which is more than can be said for some other patients of Dr. Nick Rivera.
Where are the bodies?
Oh, such a nice day.
But over in Quahog, they have a similarly incompetent doctor called Dr. Hartman.
My catchphrase is Herf Derf? Hey, do you know where I could find any books about, the pancreas?
At least with Dr. Nick, you know what you're getting. But Hartman is an actual doctor at an actual hospital, and this is how he acts day in, day out. Like here he is at an appointment with Peter, who's worried he might have some form of cancer.
Mr. Griffin, all your tests came back negative. As it turns out, the lump on your chest was just a fatty corpuscle.
Fatty corpuscle?
Where the doctors might differ a bit is that Hartman is a lot more controversial than Nick is. Nick may be a bad doctor, but he's not a bad guy. Hartman, on the other hand?
My husband is in a coma?
I'm afraid so. I mean, he's not responding to my advances, so it's either a coma or he's a frigid...
We'll leave you with him now.
Yeah, I think it's hard to deny that at the very least, Dr. Nick would have been the inspiration behind Hartman. Obviously, in typical Family Guy fashion, the writers have made the character 1,000 times more offensive, but for me, I can totally see the similarities here. Like, I can see the similarities between Homer and Peter's neighbors also. They may not seem it from the outset, but Ned Flanders and Glenn Quagmire have quite a bit in common. Like Ned Flanders with his diddlies.
We're done for, we're done diddly done for, we're done diddly doodly done diddly doodly done diddly doodly done diddly doodly.
And then over on Spooner Street, you got Glenn Quagmire with his giggities.
Giggity, giggity.
Now, you might not realize that the reason Ned adds in those diddlies and doodlies is because he had serious repressed rage as a child, so this way of talking helps him cope.
How do you feel about me?
Pretty darn diddly doodly good.
Whereas Quagmire, on the other hand, uses his giggities in a somewhat similar way. Instead of doing it to cope with rage, he does it to cope with excitement at anything remotely related with sex.
Gay marriage? Oh, come on. Two halves can't make a whole without a hole. Giggity, 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 giggity. Ooh.
Also, while it's not a direct copy, Ned is clearly a guy who's saintly. He'd never do anything wrong, and if he does, he'd make amends. Like the time he threw Homer out of his house and wrote him a sorry letter.
You are my brother. I love you. And yet, I feel a great sadness.
The Quagmire can be the lowest of the low. Like, sure, Ned's a good guy, but sometimes Quagmire is just straight up frackin' evil.
I'll be out in a minute.
I really need to go.
She said she'll be out in a minute.
So while the Simpsons live next door to a saint, the Griffins live next door to a demon. Like, surely Seth and the other writers thought, yeah, we'll just do Ned's alter ego or something. Now, while that's a little subjective, one thing that can't be up for debate is how similar the two salty sea dogs in both towns are. A lot of the stuff we've covered so far, you can just chalk up to coincidences or coming with the territory of doing a show like Family Guy, but there's a particularly interesting character from Springfield who's not your everyday family member.
That man ate all our shrimp and 2 plastic lobsters.
'Tis no man.
'Tis a remorseless eating machine.
Well, Family Guy also has a rough sea dog type character in the form of Seamus.
Congratulations. You just bought yourself a cursed boat.
They're also both not real sea dogs. Horatio goes along with his love of the sea, but when he has to come face to face with the reality of it, he's not the biggest of fans.
I'm telling you, the light would work better if it pointed out to sea.
Dar, shut up! Dar, I hate the sea and everything in it.
Seamus, on the other hand, does love the sea. The only problem is he wasn't some crazy pirate who had all of his limbs chopped off. Instead, he was a hunk of wood who was brought to life by James Woods.
I wish you were a real live ornery sea captain.
He's the one who made me what I am today.
They even referenced how similar both characters were themselves in the Simpsons Family Guy episode, The Simpsons Guy.
Pale imitations, cheap copies, clumsy counterfeits, and weak substitutions.
Both Seamus and Horatio aren't the most important characters in the world. Both of them are usually just in the show to inject some sea talk into it. So yeah, I don't know about you guys, but it does kind of feel like the writers of Family Guy copied The Simpsons' homework and changed it a little and thought we wouldn't notice. Another thing that's a little obvious is both shows' use of Adam West. Back in the day, Adam was used in The Simpsons as well. A little bit of a lunatic.
And how come Batman doesn't dance anymore? Remember the bat to see?
And in Family Guy, he's a serious lunatic.
Mayor West, you have lymphoma.
He wanted powers, by the way. That's why he was rolling around in that waste. Incredible. Adam West isn't the most obscure bit of copying, though. That actually comes in the form of God. I'm not messing around, seriously. The example I'm talking about comes from the episode Homer the Heretic, where Homer decides he's given up on religion and he's just gonna enjoy his Sundays being churchless from now on. I mean, why wouldn't he? It means he gets to do stuff like this. Homer loves his time away from religion, but Marge isn't impressed and she's worried about him. But the next time he falls asleep, he dreams of meeting with God and explaining why he's refusing to go to church.
I'm not a bad guy. I work hard and I love my kids. So why should I spend half my Sunday hearing about how I'm going to hell?
Luckily for Homer, God seems pretty chill.
You know, sometimes even I'd rather be watching football.
It's funny that Homer and God should talk about football because one of the times Peter meets God, believe it or not, it's about football as well.
The reason we're here is we wanted to tell you to stop messing with the Patriots.
What? You really think I'd get involved with football games when there's people dying in Africa?
It's almost too uncanny to be a coincidence. The universe isn't that boring. I like to think of it as a tiny Easter egg rather than blatant copying, though. I guess you could say that The Simpsons laid the foundation for Family Guy and their version of God. You know, the typical vision, like what we imagine him to be like, an old man with frackin' white hair or something. But when you actually meet him, he's nothing like you'd ever could possibly imagine. Family Guy took that ball and ran with it until he got that edgy version of God they have today.
Gentlemen, I give you the Asian.
Ooh! So as you can see here, Family Guy has followed in The Simpsons' footsteps when it comes to making stereotypical good looks-wise, but wildly different personality-wise. It's not been confirmed by anyone at Family Guy if The Simpsons' God inspired theirs, but one thing Seth has gone on record as saying is heavily inspired by The Simpsons is the use of cutaway gags. The Simpsons might not be super known for it, but there are some pretty memorable cutaways throughout the show's history, like Evil Homer.
I am Evil Homer. I am Evil Homer. I am Evil Homer.
Or the one that actually inspired Seth, Homer's Land of Chocolate. Seth said in an interview that the Land of Chocolate gag is what gave him the cutaway epiphany. Seeing that comedy style used well by a show he loved kick-started it all. Plus, the big selling point for him was that The Simpsons used the cutaways really sparingly. So Seth viewed the cutaway gag as fresh ground on which to tread. This is as good as proof as we've gotten so far, straight out of the horse's mouth, that Family Guy, at least where cutaway gags are concerned, have copied The Simpsons. Who'd have thought a silly little Chocolate Land gag would lead to the brutal stuff cutaway gags and Family Guy is kind of known for?
I got a knack for delivering bad news. I don't know how to tell you this, Mr. Devaney, so I'll let these guys do it.
You have... Yes, you have it.
Actually, come to think of it, Homer's been in a barbershop quartet too, but now that's grasping at straws. Anyway, here's an even darker cutaway from when Peter's fish dies.
Here you go, Lieutenant Shiny Sides. It's okay, you don't have to eat it now.
I obviously don't know Seth, but I think one of the reasons why he's admitted this is because on balance, Family Guy is better known for their cutaways than The Simpsons is. They've completely made it their own to the point that if The Simpsons started expanding cutaway gags, they'd be accused of copying Family Guy. And actually, believe it or not, that has happened before. The Simpsons may have had quite a few celebrity guest stars and parodies in the 1990s, but when Family Guy came out swinging in 1999, they created a whole different type of monster.
Our feature presentation, Adrian Brody doing sit-ups in 3D.
There's a certain mean spirit to the Family Guy jabs which certainly made them fresh. Before the show aired, you'd never get anything like this on television.
Please, Daddy.
I told you, when I'm finished, you can have what's left.
So, with the rising level of parody in the comedy world thanks to Family Guy, I guess the writers over on The Simpsons figured they gotta shake things up in order to ride the new wave. But before we take a look at the newer Simpsons celebrity appearances, let's just take a look at what one was like in the 1990s.
Cleaning lady, would you let us out of here?
Me? I'm Dolly Parton.
Well, funnily enough, it's Dolly's goddaughter, Miley Cyrus, who's the target of some new wave Simpsons parody. When the episode aired in 2009, Miley was still shaking off her stint as Hannah Montana, and she was under fire for lip syncing, so enter Alaska, Nebraska.
So you know what I did? I got a new nose. I got famous, and now I date the starting point guard for the LA Clippers. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go meditate and smoke.
Miley was only 17 when this episode aired, and while it's not on the same mean spirit level as Family Guy, you can see it's in a different league compared to how easy Dolly Parton had it. Another person who doesn't have it easy is Oprah Winfrey, or Opal in this case, as her show is pretty sharply parodied in season 18.
I call it leaving your legacy.
Does this book have any examples?
Yes, 8.
Easily pleased, toxically happy crowd, the super boring guest selling a random book about something no one cares about, and yeah, Opal's over-the-top looks to the camera like she's in an episode of The Office. If you've ever watched one of Oprah's shows, you know that's a pretty good summary of how they typically go down. The Simpsons had to follow the lead when it came to Family Guy's new age humor in other ways as well, but I think when you build a show that's full of heart, abandoning it for that can look cheap. For example, one thing fans have hated in the modern era of The Simpsons is the rise of jerk-ass Homer. Basically a new version of Homer that puts himself before anyone else. I touched on it a bit earlier with Plopper's Silo. Why did Homer endanger the entire town? Well, because he was hungry.
Yellow.
Homer, you gotta get over here. The health inspector just shut down the donut store and they're giving out free donuts.
So for the sake of a few frackin' donuts, he put the entire town at risk. The selfishness of Homer Simpson does not stop there, though. After a bout of drunk driving, Homer gets cornered by the police, and instead of taking the rap, he forces Marge to take it for him.
Oh my God! This DUI is a SHE-UI.
So not only does Homer frame his innocent wife, he was also driving with her while hammered. That's not exactly the Homer we saw in the earlier run of the show. I mean, just for comparison's sake, take a look at this.
We did it!
We sure did. Soulmate.
As we know, Peter Griffin sure isn't a stranger to drunk driving. And when it comes to levels of selfishness, Peter's basically psychopathic.
Joe, my God, what happened?
You just ran over me, you bastard!
So, you can sort of see here, even if it's nowhere near as bad, why The Simpsons may have shifted from the purer version of Homer to this jerk-ass version, because it's fashionable thanks to Family Guy. So it does make a ton of sense that the guys over at The Simpsons figured if you can't beat them, join them. Obviously, The Simpsons is still pound for pound the champion that paved the way for all the adult shows we know and love today, so it's only fair that a few things will be borrowed here and there. And remember what they say, imitation is the greatest form of flattery. That's all the plagiarism we got for you today, guys, but if you want to take a look at some more animated action, then check out our channel. Or you can just click this video I made just for you. Go on, give it a click. As always, guys, thank you for watching.